6 women knelt in the dry dust outside Thaddius Bell's ranch, their faces streaked with tears, dirt, and fear. Not a single one spoke, but their silence said everything. They were desperate, and the man they were pleading to hadn't spoken to another living soul in 3 years. Thaddius stood frozen on his porch, hands gripping the railing, his eyes fixed on the sight below, 6 worn, bruised women in shredded dresses. The youngest looked barely 17, the oldest maybe 25. They were like porcelain dolls left out in a storm. But what shook Thaddius more than their condition was the fact that they were here at all. No one came to his valley by accident. The closest town was 2 days away through unforgiving land. Yet here they were, kneeling, begging. The one with auburn hair raised her head first. Green eyes, cracked lips, and a look he'd buried long ago. That look of needing someone, needing him. She tried to speak, but only a whisper came. She swayed, her body weak from the journey. Whatever had brought them here, it hadn't been kindness. Thaddius felt it then, that old weight in his chest. The one he'd locked away when he'd left the world behind. He didn't want this, didn't ask for it. He'd built this life out of silence, out of solitude. He'd given up people because people brought pain. But now, as she stepped forward again, her legs barely holding her, he knew he was at a crossroads. Then she said it. Her voice cracked like the valley's dry earth. "Please, mister, we ain't got nowhere else to go. They're hunting us." Thaddeus's knuckles whitened on the railing. That word, hunting, ripped something loose inside him. It brought back memories he'd fought hard to bury. A woman, a voice, a mistake. His jaw clenched. "You need to leave," he called down. His voice was rusty, brittle. "I can't help you." But even as he said it, his eyes caught what his instincts already knew. The blood on her dress, the bruises, the way the others moved, limping, shielding each other. Someone had already found them once, and hurt them. The auburn-haired woman took another shaky step. Her hand pressed to her ribs. When she pulled it back, it was soaked in blood. "They took our wagon 3 days ago," she said, barely above a whisper. "Killed our guide. Said they'd do worse if they caught us again." She looked up at him, and this time, her eyes weren't pleading. They were hollow. "You're the only soul between us and the border." Border. That word meant only one thing. These women weren't just lost. They were on the run. Thaddius had been here before. He knew the cost of getting involved. But as the woman dropped to her knees again, blood pooling beneath her, something snapped. He was already moving down the porch steps before he could talk himself out of it. Then, in the stillness, a new sound echoed across the valley. Hoofbeats. Fast. Closing in. The woman, Clara, she called herself, grabbed his sleeve with blood-slick fingers. "They found us," she said, her voice shaking. "Dear God, they found us." Thaddius turned toward the horizon. A dust cloud rose behind the ridge, riders coming hard. Time was running out. "Get them inside," he said. Clara hesitated. "We don't want to bring trouble to your door." "You'll die in the rocks," he cut in, "and then they'll know someone helped you." He scooped up the youngest, a girl with blonde hair and a raging fever. Her body was frighteningly light. The others stumbled toward the cabin. As they passed, he saw it. Rope burns, bruises, raw terror. These women weren't fugitives. They were survivors. Inside, the cabin felt suddenly too small. A place built for one man, now holding 6 broken strangers. Clara pressed her hand to her wound and looked around. "You're alone," she said. "By choice," Thaddius replied, already locking the windows. "And you're about to see why." Outside, the riders were getting closer. Through the cracks in the shutters, Thaddius could now see the riders clearly. 6 of them, spreading out in a loose circle around the ranch. Tactical, coordinated, predators who knew how to corner prey. One of them wore a badge that gleamed in the sunlight. "Who are they?" Thaddius asked Clara, checking the sights on his rifle. She went pale. "Slavers," she whispered. "Bought us off a man who promised work, said we'd be teachers, seamstresses, but he sold us." She gestured weakly at the bruises and torn dress, at the others, half dead from running, and just like that, the temperature in Thaddius's chest dropped to freezing. Slavers. Out here. That word turned his stomach. And then Clara said something else, something that made the breath catch in his throat. "The man who sold us, he's a federal marshal. Wade Garrett. Badge and all." Thaddius nearly dropped his rifle. A federal marshal. That changed everything. These weren't bandits. They were protected. Official. Dangerous. Garrett had connections in 3 territories, Clara explained. Go to the law, and the law disappears you. As she spoke, the lead rider, Garrett, crested the ridge. Thaddius saw him clearly now. Black vest, polished boots, and that smug, dead-eyed stare. The kind of man who thought the world owed him bodies. Thaddius looked at the women. Clara was barely conscious. The youngest girl, Grace, still burned with fever. There was nowhere to run, and no time to fight on open ground. There's a root cellar, he said finally, voice low. Behind the cabin, under the floorboards. Clara shook her head. They'll search. These men, they don't miss anything. Then Grace spoke. Her voice was like wind through dry grass. He's right. Thaddius stared at her, just a girl, but her eyes were ancient with suffering. Outside, the riders were close now. He could hear creaking saddles, murmurs, boots hitting the dirt. They were surrounding the cabin. Tell me everything, he said to Clara. How many men? What are we facing? She met his gaze. 6, all killers. They'll burn this place down if they have to. They've done worse. Through the slats, Thaddius watched Garrett dismount and call out across the yard. Afternoon, friend. We're looking for some runaway property. 6 women. You seen anyone? Thaddius stepped out onto the porch, rifle low but ready. Haven't seen anyone, he said flatly. Garrett smiled. Mind if we take a look around? Sometimes folks hide things. Thaddius didn't flinch. This is private land. I didn't invite you. One of the men spat. Federal badge trumps offense, old man. Inside, Thaddius heard a faint whimper. Clara, maybe, one of the others. Garrett heard it too. His head cocked, that cold smile tightening. What was that? Loose board, Thaddius lied. But Garrett was already moving. Boys, we got secrets in here. His men dismounted in unison. Thaddius's rifle lifted, the barrel locking on Garrett's chest. I said this is private land, he said again, his voice a growl. You ain't welcome here. Garrett didn't back down. You're making a mistake, friend. These women belong to us. Signed contracts, indentured labor. Legal. Legal? Thaddius's laugh was bone dry. That's what you call kidnapping now? Then Clara's voice cut through the tension. Lies. We were taken, drugged from a church social. Garrett's smile faded. You got history, don't you? He said, eyes narrowing. You failed before. Let someone die. That's what this is. A second chance. Thaddius's hands clenched. Her name was Sarah, my wife. Garrett grinned, pure malice. Sarah, she screamed your name when she died, begging for her coward husband. Thaddius's vision narrowed to red. Finger on the trigger. But then Clara's voice came again, rising above the noise. She didn't call for you. She cursed Garrett. She fought, broke noses, drew blood. She believed you'd come for her. The world shifted. Garrett's smirk cracked. She died brave, Clara said. She believed in you. Thaddius felt the weight of it all lift, and something new replace it. Steel. When Garrett reached for the cabin door, Thaddius fired. The rifle cracked like thunder. Garrett flew backward off the porch, blood blooming from his chest. Gunfire exploded. Garrett's men opened fire. Wood splintered. Glass shattered. Thaddius dove for cover, working the lever of his rifle with machine-like speed. Then Clara appeared in the doorway with a shotgun. She fired both barrels into a rider, dropping him. The others, bruised, exhausted, terrified, grabbed weapons from the root cellar and fought beside her. 6 women. 1 broken man. Together, they made their stand. By the time the smoke cleared, Garrett and 3 of his men were dead. The others had fled. Thaddius knelt by Garrett's body. The man who had haunted his every night for 3 years was gone. But the victory didn't taste sweet. She'd be proud of you, Clara said softly. Sarah would be proud. He looked at the women, bloody, trembling, alive. What now? He asked. Clara smiled. There's a town up north. They need teachers. Good people. We'll start over. And you? She asked. Thaddius looked at his ranch, his cage, his tomb. No, he said. I've been alone long enough. 6 months later, a school opened in New Haven Territory, built by Thaddius Bell, taught by 6 women who chose freedom. Clara wore Sarah's ring when she married him, and Grace became the finest teacher in 3 territories. And sometimes, when the wind blew right, Thaddius could swear he heard Sarah's voice on the breeze, telling him she was proud.